Is there anything else next?
We got one more topic.
One more topic?
One more topic.
I thought we were done. Okay, one more topic.
No. Tomorrow, Star Wars: The Force Awakens opens in theaters nationwide. Fortunately, everyone else at this table has already seen the film over the last couple of days. So, guys, what do you think of Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
No spoilers.
Okay,
no
spoilers.
spoilers.
We will not give spoilers. We will, just going to let you know, we are going to have a spoilers review, a full spoilers review on Friday. We're not going to put it out until everybody's had a chance to see the movie. Make sure you do not watch our spoilers review until you have seen the movie, because that'll be a full blown out spoilers thing. You know, we got back from the world premiere, you, me, and Mark and Tiffany. And we were there for about 7 hours. We did the after party. I was in the studio at 6 o'clock that morning. Here all night. Then we came back in the studio at midnight and shot our first review, which went up as soon as the embargo lifted last night at midnight. So we do have a review up if you want to go check that out there. Now, we're pretty tired in it. We were pretty tired. There was some drinking done, not by me. There was a little bit of drinking done. So we were talking about the review.
Way to throw Mark under the bus. Mark was pretty hammered.
Yeah. So we did the review, but a lot of people said, why don't you seem enthusiastic? It's like, it was past midnight. So we thought we would talk about it again here. But I'm going to say one thing about this movie, okay? Before we get into the review part, because this has been gnawing at me and bothering me, and I got to say it up here first, okay? Now, if you're an idiot, you're going to consider what I'm about to say a spoiler. It is not. By any definition of in any word, in any language, this is not a spoiler. But I do have to let you know about something because it came from me and it was wrong.
And me.
Well, okay, well,
Yeah, I'll take partial.
I will drag you under the bus with me then here.
I don't have to go under the bus.
No,
So the one thing I'm going to let you know about this movie, okay, this is the closest thing to a spoiler we're going to be talking about, and trust me, this is not a spoiler, all right? A week ago, maybe a little bit more, we ran a story here because there was a piece of art going around that people saying this is what not Darth Vader, I'm sorry, this is what Supreme Leader Snoke in the movie looks like, all right? Now, that was run in a magazine, and so I contacted somebody separately that I knew was fairly close to production and asked them, is this indeed what Snoke looks like? Christian contacted somebody totally separate and asked them, is this indeed what Snoke...
Because we didn't buy it at first.
No, we didn't.
No,
we
were like, that's not going to be... He's not going to look like that.
But then we contacted outside sources, and both of those sources said to us, yes, that is what he looks like. And then we got on this show, and I looked into the camera, and I told you that we can confirm that this, and we pointed to the picture at the back, this is what Snoke looked like. Whether that means he's Plagueis or not, who knows, blah, blah. The piece of art that's going around might be a fan piece of art, but we've confirmed with separate sources this is what he looks like. And I'm going to tell you this, it's not. It's not. We were wrong. We were dead wrong. This is why I do not ever want to be in the scoop breaking thing. This is the second time I've been burned. Once 7 years ago, when Edgar Wright was still directing Ant-Man, and I had got what I consider to be reliable information, that dude from The Piano,
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody was going to be Ant-Man, and that was wrong, and now it's happened to me again, because that was wrong. I hate when YouTube channels, websites, whatever, mislead audiences. And I hate it 10 times more when I'm the jackass doing the misleading. So I wanted to let you guys all know up front what we ran saying, this is what Snoke like, totally wrong, completely wrong. I'm embarrassed by it. I hate it. I give crap to any other site that misleads audience. I cannot cut myself a break when I'm the one who does the misleading. We were dead wrong on that. We thought we covered our bases. We checked with multiple sources, and it was still wrong. This is why I do not want to be in the scoop breaking game. So my apologies to any of you who bought what we were selling, because we sold you a bad bill of goods. We were wrong about that.
Right, but we weren't misleading it, because the thing was too, because I got a couple of tweets about it afterwards, because there was other art that came out afterwards, like, well, that's what he looks like, and I stuck to my guns, and I said, from the people that we heard it from, nope, that's not what he looks like. So we weren't under everything that we had heard from the people in our sources were confirming it. So just like John said too, I definitely there are some things that we got wrong about our predictions, and there are some things we got right.
Well, there's one thing about being wrong about predictions.
I'm just saying,
that's
but
fun.
I'm just saying. But part of the things that we got wrong was this picture. Like there are things that we got wrong, and there are things that we got right as well too. But this, I understand what you're saying though too. But yeah, I'd also like to offer the apology for getting that information and not being correct.
Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah. Anyway,
I was there when you guys were confirming it with different sources. They were on the phone, and I remember one of your guys' sources said it's not the final version, but they look kind of like
Right.
it. So they were like, it was like, I mean, that's, that happens.
Yeah,
So I wouldn't beat yourselves up too much.
We goofed.
still,
We goofed.
I do not. I hate being the one responsible for disseminating wrong information. So my apologies. Now, with that out of the way,
It's Jar
if you
Jar.
can- you can figure
Jar
this
Jar
out.
is Snoke. Spoilers.
Let's
Just
get
kidding.
to some more
Just kidding.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit with no spoilers. Remember, spoilers come on Friday. Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I cannot begin to tell you. People ask me, John, did you cry? John, did you cry? Remember, I don't cry and stuff, but as I was sitting in that theater, ladies and gentlemen, and I did miss the Fox fanfare for a split second, but I got over it as soon as the Lucasfilm logo came
Yeah.
up. Screen goes dark. A long time ago in a galaxy.
Boom.
I right now, you can see it. The hair on my arm. Look at the butt. I'm getting goosebumps right now just remembering the that happens, and then the crawl. It's a great crawl.
Crawl's amazing.
It is a great
Yeah.
opening crawl. I was a little worried about it because especially going into the prequels, the prequels one were not impressive to say the
Yeah.
least. We're just talking about the crawls. Right. And this crawl came up, and it's like it wasted within 2 lines you were hooked.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what was in the crawl,
Right.
of course.
I think the Phantom Menace one was a sprawl. It wasn't a crawl. It was just like from Tax Federation
Yeah.
sleeping.
Tax embargoes and anyway. So the movie, I had so much fun watching the movie. Now I'm going to tell you right up front, I am not going to allow myself to drink the Kool-Aid like I did with the Phantom Menace so many years ago, just because it's a Star Wars film. I'm not going to allow myself. So I'm going to tell you right now, without telling you what the problems are. There are a couple of issues with the movie. There are, just like any movie. There are a couple of issues with the movie, but I can tell you wholeheartedly, there are no issues with this movie that were like the prequel issues, where like 10 times in a movie, watching the prequels, an issue would happen. This type of issue that make you just throw your head back, roll your eyes, and go, "Oh my God, did they really just do that?" None of those in this movie whatsoever. The performances were great. The action was wonderful. The visual effects right on par. The story and plot I thought were great. It was a fun, viscerally exciting experience. And you got to remember this. J.J. Abrams was given the task, as a lot of Star Wars fans like me complain about a lot of the new stuff that quite often that doesn't feel like Star Wars. So he had the task of creating something that felt true to Star Wars, would please the old fans, yet at the same time usher in a new generation 30 years later. And I'm going to tell you right now, J.J. Abrams pulled it off. He absolutely pulled it off. A monumental Herculean task is what he had put in front of him, and he pulled it off. I thought from the trailers that John Boyega might be one of the weak links in the film. Turns out John Boyega was my favorite character in the film. I mean, his performance was great. I liked the way the character was written. Anyway, before I just start babbling, Christian, your impressions, your thoughts of...
Well, apparently the fans think I hated it, and I certainly did not hate it. I liked it a lot, and I think that because I just got back, like you said, we were exhausted, but like there are these expectations that you're just never going to hit the expectations that you put for a movie. And and like you said, John, this movie, we're back in the Star Wars world. From the opening crawl to the end of the movie, we're back. Everything seems lived in. JJ did a very great job of bringing us back to what we loved about the original trilogy. There were just some issues that I had about it that we'll talk about more in our spoiler review as well. But I mean, the things that worked were, like where you said Boyega was your favorite. Daisy Ridley is a superstar. She was incredible, and what she did, and the way that the mythology it was further. What you have to realize about this movie is that JJ is taking, and I've also had a lot of time to think about it as well too. I just keep thinking about the movie too. That tell you anything. But 30 years of history, 30 years of mythology that you're taking from Return of the Jedi and putting it into this movie here in The Force Awakens. That's a lot to do. Plus, you have to introduce us to all these brand new characters. Then you have to reintroduce us to all the old characters. It's a lot of work to do, and I thought for the amount of time that he did a good job. There were just a couple things here and there that were missing, but as far as effects and all that stuff goes, no way. I mean, I have little minor gripes. Like for me, I didn't think necessarily like the John Williams score didn't hit as hard as I thought the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy. I thought the music was better in those. There wasn't anything that just stood out. Little things. And I think that one of the big things for a lot of people, and I don't necessarily have that much of a problem with it, was it does parallel A New Hope. Very much so. It does. It has a lot of, and I think that it's an homage for sure. It's not a complete rip-off of it. It's just similar to me what Creed did with Rocky. Right. And I was okay with that. And I think that some people may or may not have an issue with that. That wasn't one of my concerns. But overall, this is a movie we have been waiting for, and it is, you just get so excited to know the possibilities now. JJ set it up great, and Kasdan set it up great as to where, they gave Rian Johnson, here you go, buddy. And he just, that guy's got a gold nugget on his plate now. So overall, this is a really, really fun return for the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, I got a chance to see it yesterday. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to see it again.
You came back to the office last night after watching it, and you were buzzing.
I'm still buzzing, just talking about it and hearing you guys talk about it. So exciting, so well done. I could not fathom how well the new cast how much I would love them. I absolutely loved John Boyega, Daisy Ridley, and Oscar Isaacs. Oscar Isaacs, I can't wait for him to be in it more. I felt like these are the new characters that are taking over, the passing of the baton with the brand new generations. These are going to be the characters that are going to be in episode 8 and 9 and 10, 11, however many they decide to do. And I absolutely love their energy. The way the characters were all introduced was fantastic. You are with them from the very beginning to the very end. And then the way they introduce the original cast is fantastic. I absolutely loved Harrison Ford. You could tell he enjoyed being Han Solo again. And he was just great. And his back and forth with Chewie.
Oh, I love the humor. Yeah.
There's so much humor, and it's not forced. It's natural. I thought the dialogue was fantastic, and it was very Star Wars. It felt so Star Wars to me that I forgot all about the prequels. I forgot about the horror and the disappointment of that, the thing that happened 16, 17 years ago, and it transported me back to when I was a little kid, and there's Han Solo, and there's Chewie. That was the fun part. I loved Kylo Ren. I thought Adam Driver's portrayal, I liked the way that they introduced the dark side and the transformation that the dark side has gone through over the last 30 years. I liked the brand, what do they call it? The New Order? Or
First Order.
First Order, and then there's not the Republic,
but the
Resistance. So they swapped out names. It's basically the same kind of thing.
But the Republic still exists as well,
Don't give too much away, though. Speaking of not to give too much away.
Sorry. What Christian said is right. It is a bit of a reboot, a rehash. But none of that bothers me. When they hired J.J. Abrams, he was fresh off Star Trek. And when he did the Star Trek reboot, he basically draped Star Wars over Star Trek and redid it. Kirk was Luke. He basically told Star Wars because he was a Star Wars fan, and they got him to redo Star Trek. Then they got him to do Star Wars, and he did a great job. I thought it was fantastic. What a minefield to navigate. When you really think about it, you're taking a property that 30 years ago is like, people love Star Wars. And then the guy who created Star Wars kind of delivered some, prequels that weren't up to snuff. That's the guy who created Star Wars. Then you're cutting another 15, 16 years later, and you're trying to reboot the entire franchise with a fresh start. And I think you really did it. I love BB-8. I love the brand new additions. These characters just felt like they're part of the mythology almost instantaneously. Beefs that I might have, I kind of agree a little bit with Christian there. But once again, there's so much time that takes place over, even from Return of the Jedi to now. They have a lot of holes to fill and not a lot of time to fill it. So there's gaps that are going to be answered, I'm sure, in episode 8 and 9 and things like that. So I'm not really disappointed with some things that weren't revealed. I'm cool with that because unlike when you saw Star Wars, you didn't know if there was ever going to be another one. We actually know that they're shooting episode 8 now, so you can feel like, all right, at least those will be answered. I don't need everything to be answered.
And we're only a year and a half away from episode 8.
Crazy.
So
I myself, 2 Star Wars movies in a year and a half.
I don't have, I was reading some of the other critics online reviews late last night, And I'm definitely not in the same. I'm in the minority as far as like I thought the film was so fantastic. Those few flaws don't bother me. The reboot or rehash of the original story doesn't bother me because I think that this new version is great for a brand new generation of kids and adults, and it had that flavor of Star Wars. That there were moments in the theater when I was just like, remember grabbing Holly. I was like, oh my God, like so excited, or such great reveals. That were like, whoa! I mean, those kinds of things that I can't wait to relive it again. I honestly, when I saw the film, I got out of the theater and I was like, I can't wait to see this again because there were so many moments that I just want to relive. And there was really well executed. Like I said, there's a few things here and there that like might disappoint you, but overall, fantastic film. What a great return to an amazing franchise.
And, you know, I said maybe my favorite character in it, my favorite performance is that John Boyega, but I think the biggest surprise of a character and the most interesting character for me, and like I said, biggest surprise, is that of Kylo Ren. Because one of the things I was a little bit worried about, and I know a lot of people online had mentioned it, was like, well, Kylo looks like he's the new Darth Vader. He's just going to be Darth Vader. And a part of me was expecting that too. You are not ready for what you're going to get with Kylo Ren. Right. Kylo Ren is such an interesting character with so many different layers to him. I was so pleasantly surprised by what they gave us in Kylo Ren. He is, believe me, he is not just some Darth Vader knockoff.
I think he had the most, and not that there was so much lacking in the other ones, but I think he had the most development as far as a character of the new characters.
And he needed to.
He needed to.
Yeah.
So there's the most history and most that you get from him.
And some of the best lines in the movie.
He absolutely does, and he's not. He is not a Vader ripoff at all. And I'm just choosing my words here.
I bought that action figure because I thought he looked cool, and I was telling Holly, I was like, I'm gonna sell this action figure if the movie sucks.
Yeah,
totally keeping that action figure, and I bought the right one.
Yeah.
You know,
they did it right. I think that they did it right, and they did it in a way. I think that every character was handled with respect and class, and even certain characters that you may think should be in the movie longer than they need to be. There's a couple of them. There's a couple characters you said, well, I would have liked to see more of this person. That to me means that they are playing the long game, and that because I would rather them do it the way they did, because there are a few characters in here that you're gonna wish that you would have seen more of, but you also have episodes 8 and 9, and and that also shows that they didn't try to cram everything in, because I think sometimes you get these movies with so many characters and they try to give so much time to everyone that the movie loses it because of it. So I thought that's where it did it well, to even though, okay, look, that character's not in it that much, but we're going to see more of them later.
You know, and one of the other great aspects of this that I really liked about it was the humor. Because, you know, you have two different types of humor. You have the original trilogy humor. What's going on in there? We had a weapons malfunction, but everything's good. It's fine. It's all fine. We're fine. How are you? Like, there's that humor.
Yeah.
And then there's P-USA. There's that humor.
me step in some poopy.
Yeah. This was the original trilogy humor, and it was fun and entertaining.
That's Lawrence Kasdan.
That is Lawrence Kasdan.
Because when you hear, he had a conversation where they were interviewing him right before, and he had a great interview, and they asked him about, he says he likes the goofy moments, and they asked him something about Lord Miller, because they've done silly stuff. He's like, no, silly and goofy are very different. He said goofy is that moment John just brought up on episode 4 when Han's talking, he shoots, and he's like, that's goofy to me. That's like in the middle of all this stuff, something like that happens. It's real humor. That's what was in this movie. That's the difference when you bring in someone like Lawrence Kasdan that knows that humor, and it was evident throughout this movie.
Yes, definitely.
So don't forget, guys, we have a full spoilers review. It'll probably end up being like an hour to an hour and a half long.
Gonna get into details.
We're gonna get into all the details.
And we're doing a spoiler heavy Jedi Council next week.
Yeah, next week as well. We're actually going to shoot the spoiler review today, but we're not going to air it till Friday, so keep your eyes open for that spoiler review on Friday.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.